You ever wanted to know how to get into the stock market, but didn't really want to look at all that boring lingo? Well, this week on Motivation and Confidence, we talked to Dr. Eric Patrick, the creator of the Black Market Exchange, and his newsletter that's called The Paper Trail. It combines hip-hop, stock tips, and some cool videos. Stay tuned. All right, everybody worldwide, you're now tuned into Motivation and Confidence, where we help you do your daily best. And I'm your host, Tom Danger.
So some background about me. I'm originally from Florida, Tampa, Florida. I currently live in Dallas, Texas. I went to pharmacy school at Howard University in Washington, D.C. And from there, I got a job down here in Dallas at one of the local hospitals after I graduated. And so I've been here in Dallas for about 8 years now. And after I graduated from school, I started coming into more money than I had as a broke college student, like most people. And it was kind of like, okay, what's the next move? I was saving my money, but I didn't really know what the next move was. And of course, you know, our family, my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, were putting all the bug in our ear about, oh, you need to buy a house. I was going to buy a house. And so we were looking to save for that. But I also got interested into investing a little bit. So I did the Facebook IPO just to try it out. Got in when it first opened up at like $40. Lost half my money, but I never sold. And then, of course, it's regained, and now it's, you know, 4 or 5x of what it was back then. And so that was kind of like my introduction. Nothing like super crazy. But then in 2014, when my wife and I, we had moved. Well, 2013, my wife and I had got married and we moved into our house. In 2014, we found out that she was pregnant early that year, and so we were like, okay, we need to, you know, save money, pay off debt, whatever. And so a friend of mine was telling me about penny stocks, and I kind of looked into that. Wolf of Wall Street kind of just came out, so that was pretty popular at the time. And so I was looking at penny stocks. I tried trading them. This really wasn't my jam. I felt like it was kind of a lot more work than I wanted it to be, but to each his own, of course. And then I was introduced into trading stock options. And so once I saw that, that's what really kind of opened my eyes to seeing that there are other options that you can invest in, you know, other things in the stock market. Okay. And so once I started sharing some information on social media, primarily Instagram, I started getting questions not only from people I knew, but then from people I didn't know. And that's when, hey, maybe I can kind of create a platform for people that look like me, because everything I saw was always a white male in a suit. Right. And I was like, well, I'm not white, and I don't wear suits like that. You know, I'm just kind of t-shirt, jeans kind of guy. Back then I was wearing like fitted hats and stuff all the time. So I was like, how come there's nothing really out there for somebody like me? And that's where Black Market Exchange really came from. Even the name itself, you know, when people go to the black market, it's to find something that they just couldn't get anywhere else. And that's just kind of really what the meaning behind the name. You know, there's several kind of meanings on here, but the main thing is that, you know, I wanted to provide an opportunity where people who were nothing was just of interest to them, although the information isn't necessarily different, it's just different in how it's being delivered or distributed across social media and online channels. And, you know, my love for hip-hop and money just kind of went together, and that's where it all started. Okay.
So I would always ask this people a random question, and I like to pose this to you as well. I have $500. Mm-hmm. How would you recommend that I could flip that $500?
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even necessarily try to do it in the stock market. I would look into maybe try to do like some type of a side hustle. Okay. And I say that because when I started the company, it was really just sharing information, and then I started to sell. So I made some T-shirts. Started selling those T-shirts after a while. I'm still doing it now. And but people liked my website and my social media channels. And so when people ask me, well, who did your website, who's doing your Instagram, and I told them that I did, I started getting inquiries about people asking me to do it for them. And that actually turned into another income stream for me that really didn't take any money to get started. I mean, maybe, you know, I didn't even register as an LLC because I didn't know how serious it was going to be, which is honestly a recommendation of mine. A lot of times people want to start a business, whether it's a side hustle or they're like, this is going to be my quit my 9-to-5 thing. They always want to just go out and incorporate it or make it an LLC and do all this other stuff. But you don't even know if it's a validated idea or if you're going to make money from it. So I always recommend people just to kind of get out there, at most maybe get a DBA, which is, doing business as or assumed name. And that way you can just bill under that business name, but it's just a sole proprietorship. Okay. And then once you see that, okay, there's something here, and honestly, to get a DBA is pretty cheap. Here in Texas, it's like $25.
Really?
And so after that, that's it. If you register for an LLC in Texas, it's $300.
Okay.
Other states, I know it varies from state to state, and sometimes some states even have an annual fee that you have to pay. But in Texas, you just have to pay a franchise tax if your business makes, I think you have to make like $100,000 even before that kicks in. But it only costs $25 to do a DBA. And so once I have the DBA, I go and open up a business bank account, because you can do that as long as you just get your tax ID number, the EIN, right, which is free through the IRS website. Then you can just go up a business bank account, and it just takes, I think most banks just say you need $20 or $25 to deposit when you open the account. So between that and the DBA, you're at $50, and now I can start getting paid. Gotcha. So to me, now you still got $450 to work with, and that could be to get your website. I do my websites on Wix or Squarespace. Whether you get the annual plan, which is probably anywhere from $100 to $200 a year, or you can just get on a month-to-month plan and pay like $15 to $25 a month. So let's say that's another $25 for your website. You get the domain, the email. That's another maybe $25 to $50. You're looking at most like $100 to $150 out the door, and you got a website, social media channels are free, email, all of that, and now you can start making money. So I would recommend, if there's a way to do maybe some type of a side hustle with that $500. Okay. My wife is real good at selling items that we don't use anymore, so that clearly doesn't take any money to get started. But if you have something that you're kind of like good at or you're interested in, I think that would be one of the best ways to stretch a little bit of money to start making money faster. Okay. I'm not saying that you can't use that $500 for investing in various things. Because if you're doing the stock market, you can trade stock options. You only need $100, $200 to buy an options contract. But there's really not as much control over that as if you did your own thing. So I would say that would be start some type of a side hustle. Etsy, or maybe you are good at web design and social media. Social media is everywhere. Everybody needs it, and most people don't want to manage it. So, when I first started, my first account was like $75 a month for to manage somebody's Instagram page. And, I'm talking about I was helping to get its followers. I was creating posts. I was posting, making all the captions and everything for $75 a month. That same package now might cost somebody like $800, $1,000. Wow. So, yeah. And so, it's just as I got better over time, got more clients under my belt, and I just started with friends and family. Word of mouth. I didn't do any ads or anything, so that didn't cost me any money. And, somebody will give you a chance. So I think that $500 into some type of a side hustle would be the best way to start making some money, especially sooner than later.
So when I look at your emails, you do a real smooth correlation between what's going on in the stock market, and then you use sort of like a meme to describe the expression of, stock market going up and down. And I can really sort of understand what's going on. Like the one you did today about Uber and, them just saying like, we'll make it up and all that stuff. And all this is easy for me to read. And I like the way you put the links in between to like the song of the day and all that. But at the same time, I still have no idea how to go out and invest on my own. So with me being totally ignorant, walk me down that path of what I could do to get started.
One thing, and I've actually changed it, and it's not prominent in those emails, but at the bottom I have a Learn How to Invest in 5 Days. And essentially, it's a program that's a self-guided course where it walks you through kind of how to go from start to finish. And by that, we're starting with one. I don't like to call it a budget, but I call it the couch money method. I think about when I was a kid, and you would find loose change in the couch, and you could go outside and get like ice cream from the ice cream truck. Right. And so I like to call it couch money, because essentially it's money that you've always had. You just didn't know where it was, or you didn't know that it was there. And so a lot of times people will say, "Oh, you need to have a budget." I mean, yeah, you need to have a budget, but I don't think it needs to be so strict in regards to kind of what maybe some other people might say. But you do need, at minimum, you do need to know what's coming in and what's going out. And essentially, is there a surplus or a deficit somewhere? And now, how do I resolve that issue? And so essentially, a lot of times people will have a surplus, particularly if you're working a traditional 9 to 5, most people are getting paid every 2 weeks. There's 2 months out of the year that you get 3 paychecks that month. It happens every single year. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And so if you think about it, that's an extra paycheck. If you're already surviving off 2 paychecks a month and you get an extra paycheck twice a year, think about it, that's essentially an extra month's worth of income.
Right.
And so going back to originally, we talked about you made $2,000, you took home $1,500, or you're taxed on $1,500, and let's just say you took home $1,000. That's an extra $2,000 a year. And so now that you know, that's essentially the first step. Like, where am I going to find this extra money? Because people always have one of 3 issues why they're not investing. They don't have any money, they don't have the knowledge, or they don't have the time. And I think the money is always going to be the first one. Like, I don't have any money to do it. And so when you actually have knowing how much money is coming in, going out, what your cash flow is looking like, that gets you to the first step. Okay, now I know that I'm going to have at least $50, $100 a month to put into an investment account. So now that you have that money, I need to have an investment account. And so you can actually go to, I mentioned like Fidelity and Charles Schwab. Robinhood is a new one that a lot of people are using because it doesn't charge you any money to buy and sell when you're buying stock. And so you can open up these accounts, or you can even use, Acorns and Betterment, things a little bit more passive, but you still can, you put the money in yourself.
Right.
And so you can put the money in an account, you open an account, it's just like opening a bank account. It's going to ask you for your social, your age, your birthday, where you live. It'll ask for your occupation. And it'll even ask kind of like, how active do you plan to be? Like, or do you plan to be like a day trader, or do you plan to just kind of long-term buy and hold type stuff? None of that really, that's not really going to determine if you will get an account or not. I've never heard of somebody getting turned down to open an investment account. But it's just more so I think they're just gathering data on what their traditional investor looks like using their platform. And so now that you have an account, you just connect your bank account and you can deposit money in there just like you would move money from a checking to a savings account. You can even have money go from your paycheck at work and direct deposit into the investment account if you want to.
Right.
So there's different options. And so now you have money in an account. Just start putting money in there, saving it up, so when the time comes for you to buy something, you're ready to go. Because the worst thing that's going to happen is you say, oh, you know what, I want to go out and buy this stock, but now I don't have the money ready to go do it. And so I always recommend, just like as if you were saving, you put money into an investment account, so it's going to be ready to go.
Gotcha.
Now that you kind of get that piece in place, now, okay, how do I even know if a company is a stock? How do I find stock? And so I always recommend people to think about just their everyday products. I tend to, every now and then, my wife and I can go to like a Target or a Walmart or something. Normally they're in like a shopping complex, and I'll actually just look around the shopping complex and write down the names of the stores and the companies and restaurants that are out there. And then I can just do a quick search on my phone, whether it's like Wikipedia or Yahoo Finance or something, and see if that's a publicly traded company. A lot of companies are, and if they aren't directly, they're owned by one that is. And the biggest example that I always tell people of that one is Victoria's Secret.
Okay.
Victoria's Secret and Bath and Body Works are both owned by L Brand.
Yes.
So you can't buy stock in Victoria's Secret directly, but you can buy stock in L Brand, which owns Victoria's Secret. And so now, once you create a list of these companies of like, okay, here's my list of maybe, let's just say 10 companies that I'm going to see if they're a stock. Once you do your research, you cross the ones off that you can't buy stock in. So if you use DoorDash to get food delivered to your house, DoorDash isn't a stock yet, so you would just cross it off your list. If you drive a Ford or a Toyota, those are stocks, so you just leave them on your list. So now that you know that, the next step will be, how do I start to, kind of consolidate that even more to which ones do I want to buy? And now that's when you're starting to apply some more knowledge that you might learn online or through a program on if I should focus on one thing. Because you can always say, hey, I trim my list of 10 companies down to 5, and I'm just, I'm just going to buy shares in this company, and you're done. Like literally, now you own it. Now you own shares in a stock.
Okay.
If you wanted to get more detail about it, then you can start using other resources. I use Yahoo Finance a lot. You mentioned like my newsletter. Now you can have my newsletter. So you talked about Uber being mentioned in there and how, they lost all this money, their stock isn't doing well. So if Uber was on your list, maybe you need to think like, you know what? Uber looks like it's kind of on a downswing. Maybe I'll just kind of table that for now.
Right.
And now you're not going to buy that stock. So my newsletter is just now essentially a resource. It's not necessarily telling you to or to not buy it, but it is giving you some type of insight on, okay, what type of decision should I make on this stock? JCPenney was the other company mentioned in that.
I see that.
I mentioned in there, JCPenney has been around for 110 years. It's been a stock for 90 years, and it's about to be delisted from the New York Stock Exchange, which is a very big deal.
That's crazy.
It's been on the New York Stock Exchange for 90 years, and now it's about to be delisted because the stock is worth less than $1 per share.
Wow.
So now hey, if JCPenney was on my list, you know what? I probably don't want to get JCPenney because it looks like it's about to go bankrupt. And that's just kind of how you do it. And then as you just continue to learn more, if you want to start using technical things like using charts and stuff to find buy and sell opportunities, because those are available. If you want to use fundamental data, so looking at a company's balance sheet, how much does it have in debt, how much does it have in revenue, how much is it in sales? Now you can start looking at those things, and I like to use a red light, green light system with the companies, with their revenue, with their net profit, and with their debt. And so I like to say, hey, is their revenue going up, every quarter or every year? If it is, it's green. If it's not, it's red.
Okay.
Is the net profit, so the money that they take home, is that going up every year or every quarter? If it is, green. If it's not, red. Go ahead.
So when did you develop such a passion for finance?
I think I've always been good with numbers. Math has always been my favorite subject. And strangely enough, both of my parents were bankers, but they never really talked about money like that. They didn't really teach us anything. The only lesson I ever remember as a kid was I used to just save my money in this little red bucket with my Legos. And sometimes my mom would come in and be like, hey, can I get $5 back from gas? It's cheap. Can I get $5 so I can put gas and I'll give it back to you? Because she didn't want to go to the ATM.
Right.
And my dad would always say, anytime somebody tries to borrow money from you, you charge them interest. And at the time, since I was so young, I couldn't, comprehend percentages and stuff. So he would just say, charge them $1. So if my mom asked me for $5 or $10, I would say, okay, you got to give me an extra $1 back. And I'm 5 years old, charging on my $1 to borrow money.
Wow.
So, and those are things that my wife and I try to do for our kids now. We try to instill those type of things. We're going to start doing where, they get 3 meals a day and they're open to 3 snacks. If they try to get a 4th snack, you're going to have to pay at the quarter for that last snack. We want to get them in the habit of knowing that things cost money. You have to pay for certain things. You have to save. You have to tithe, all those. But yeah, that's kind of my passion just kind of, I think, came intrinsically once I was like, okay, now that I have some money, I need to do right about this.
Okay.
And I always like to use a sports analogy when it comes to relationships and money. Usually one person is good in certain areas, another person is good in others. And traditionally, men are always seen as a more aggressive investment type person, and women are traditionally the more conservative savings budgeting. Not saying that's always the case by any means, but traditionally that's kind of how it's been. And I feel like my wife and I are no different. So I'm more of an offensive player. I'm all about cash flow, investing, side hustles. How do we just get more money into our house?
Okay.
My wife is very good at the budgeting, saving. How do we keep more of the money that's coming into our house? And we just complement each other in that way, and we both kind of know our lanes.
Okay.
I've talked to my wife about investing and trading stuff, and my wife is like, you know what? I just want a Roth IRA for myself. I don't really care about all that trading stuff. That's not my jam. I want to do something else.
Okay.
And that's perfectly fine. But I think that we've just found that common ground where, hey, this is what you do, and this is what you do, and we just bring those together. But I really think it was just kind of an intrinsic thing. Okay. And I mean, I just like making money, so that just seemed like another outlet to do so.
I hear you. So with that being said, that's a great segue into talking about generational wealth. What advice would you give to the listeners on how to prepare themselves for generational wealth, especially those who are just starting out with families, getting into a marriage and having kids?
I think the first step is understanding that just because you weren't the recipient of some form of generational wealth doesn't mean you can't be the initiator.
Right.
So I mentioned both my parents were bankers. I think they were okay with money, but I don't think they're probably not the best. I don't think they're as good as I am. I'm not in banking as far as like the management side of it. And so I don't think that was actually taught specifically within the Black community. That's just not something that's really passed down.
Right.
And so for me, I think I've just taken it on myself, my wife as well, that, you know what, whether we make $1 million in our lifetime, like from a business or investing or whatever, whatever. But at least we can do something for our kids. We have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. We can at least start doing things now to set them up in a position now they have more choices. I think that school is becoming optional as opposed to a requirement, such as when, our parents were always like, you got to go to college. And if you don't go to college, you're not going to get a job. You can't live. Nowadays, that's just not the case anymore. As more and more people are working outside of their specialties, whatever their degrees are in, and then they will just find out that they can make money without having to go to school. Like, are you good at something? All right, you can make money from it. So I think that times are changing. And so what my wife and I are doing is we started with 2 things. One is both of our kids have investment accounts.
Okay.
They're custodial accounts, and that's just, think of it just like a joint account. Like if we were to go open up a bank account for them, like a savings. Right. So I'm essentially kind of like the manager of the account, but it's still our daughter's account. Right. And I use the 52-week savings challenge. And for those that aren't familiar, the 52-week savings challenge is every week in the year you save the dollar amount for that corresponding week. So for week 1, you would save $1. Week 2, $2. And by you get to the 52nd week, you save $52. Okay. Over the course of a year, it's just under $1,400. And since we have 2 kids, I do one going up and one in reverse. So the first week of the year, I'll put $1 in one kid's account, and the other kid I'll put $52 in. So essentially, every week I'm putting in $63. Go. There are many challenges. There are many ways to save money, of course, but that's what I've chosen, and it fits within our budget, so I can do it. So they do that. And once there is essentially kind of money readily available, maybe a few $100s to do something with, then I'll consider buying something. And honestly, I really just look at stocks that would apply to kids. So Hasbro toys, Johnson & Johnson, Disney. I threw in a couple other things in there, maybe like Apple or Twitter or something. But for the most part, it's things that like pay dividends, because my goal for them is when they're in high school, not only if I was putting that money in only a savings account and, not even really getting 1% interest, they might have like $20,000, $25,000 in that account. But if I'm investing that money and based on, the return of the stock market, that's kind of traditional, even on a conservative level, they're probably going to have at least twice that amount of money. Right. So instead of 20 to 25, now you're looking at 40 to 50. Mm-hmm. And as a 16-year-old, that's going to be a very big deal. Right. Like, hey, your 16th birthday, guess what? You got 50 G's. Like, what you trying to do out here? Right. And the reason I invest in dividend-paying stocks is so when they do get to high school, now they have money coming in. So if you need gas, pay your own car insurance, all that, their dividend checks will help pay for that stuff. And we don't want to have to be the ones responsible for it. And so as they're going to get older, we're just going to teach them how to invest the money, how to manage the money. This is what's going to be coming in, and then how you can kind of take care of yourself. And that's how we're building the generational wealth for them. At some point, we would like to double the contributions we're putting into their investment account. So instead of, just $1, $2, $3, it'll be, 2, 4, 6, and so on. But, we'll cross that bridge when it gets there. But hopefully we set them up in a way that if we did it this way, when they have kids, then they can double or triple the contributions because they're already set up. And now that's how the generational wealth is going to be built. Okay. And we do have savings accounts for them also that we put money into, but that's essentially what we're doing. And my 4-year-old, between her savings and investment accounts, she's got like $7,000.
Wow.
And my 2-year-old, she has, I think, about $2,500, $3,000.
Nice.
So yeah, they don't even know. You know, like they just know that Dad put money in their account. We went to the bank the other day. My daughter got $10 for something. I forgot what it was. She likes to put the money still in the rollers. So we'll get the rollers from the bank, get the change, come home, take the money, take the coins out of the rollers, and put them back in, and then go back to the bank to deposit it. And so they just kind of go through the process. When we open their bank account, I had the teller or the representative talk to my daughter opening the account. I know she might not understand, but at least she went through the process.
Right.
And that's really, to me, that's what generational wealth is about. It's not like, let me get this $1 $2 million, and I'm just passing down, and you just waiting on that overnight lottery win or something to happen. To me, it's the tipping point. You do little things over time, and a big event is going to come. And that's how we're doing generational wealth for our kids.
Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about music. Who are you rocking or playing in your playlist right now, hip-hop wise?
I mean, right now, I know that Rick Ross just came out. That's part of Miami, too.
Okay.
I'm a Florida boy at heart from Tampa. I was there for most of my life.
Okay.
And so anything that comes out of the state, especially Rick Ross, I mean, I feel like Rick Ross honestly is one of the best artists of our time.
I agree.
In terms of from a holistic viewpoint. So I'm not talking about, let's look at his lyrics versus Jay-Z's lyrics or Nas's lyrics.
Right.
I'm talking about how many albums you got, how many of them are just consistent bangers from front to back. You know, production is stellar, and he's still doing other things in restaurants and, you know, just other brands and stuff. So, to me, he's one of the best artists of our time, just from a holistic approach.
And that track he got with Nipsey Hussle and Tiana Taylor is hot, too.
Look, you already read my mind, man. Nipsey, to me, he's hands down it. I mean, man, when he was killed, bro, I took that hard, man, because as much as people were talking about Jay-Z's 444 album that came out and all this, I was like Nipsey been on this tip. Like, and I'm talking about super hard and not just buying real estate, like all type of entrepreneurship, business deals, like everything. Even he had a mixtape called Mailbox Money. Like, that's a dividend paycheck. That's exactly what it is. So to me, Nipsey it's like a personal favorite. He's my personal favorite, like, ever, because he just had it. Right. I'm a big fan of just West Coast rap in general. Okay. I like a lot of Dom Kennedy, Casey Veggies, I Am Sue. Okay. Kendrick. You know, I'm just a big fan. Dom actually just dropped a mixtape from his OPM label today too, so I got to check that out also.
All right, E. Well, we definitely appreciate you coming on the podcast. Anything lastly that you like to leave with the listeners?
Just honestly, at the end of the day, you can decrease your expenses to a certain degree. At some point, you got to make more money. Whether you're working more hours at work, you're starting a side hustle or whatever, like if you want to treat true wealth, like this generational wealth, like you got to make some more money. Okay. So, you know, whatever you got to do, and I live by the rule of three, and the rule of three is just simply, if 3 different people ask me the same question, I can probably make money from it. They're asking me for some reason. So I started Black Market Exchange from that. I started my social media management company, Dr. Zines, from that. And, you know, I believe that, yes, you can be stretched, so you kind of have to be mindful. You don't want to have like 10 businesses just because you feel like, oh, I can do all of it. But I do think that at some point you got to make more money, because you can, you know, your expenses can, at its best, go to zero. It can't, you know, that's it. But your money that you make is infinite. There is no cap on that. Right. And so at some point, you got to make more money.
Thank you for tuning into Motivation and Confidence, where we help you do your daily best. Like, subscribe, or leave a comment. Check us out on various platforms: Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Overcast, Castbox, SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, TuneIn, or Alexa Media.